What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. As you can see at the moment, I've just pretty much got everything ready for me to load up the 31 for the first time since its rebuild and get ready to go drive. So I just thought while I'm out here and I've got a minute just to catch my breath, I did want to make a follow-up video of the video I released a few weeks ago where I wasn't sure when I got to this point what I was going to do as far as the next car goes. So in that video I pretty much explained to you guys my reservations of why I didn't want to do the Cressida, or issues that I foresaw with building the Cressida, whilst I've got the S13s over there. Got a lot of input from a lot of people, and I do appreciate all you guys who had something to say. I do take it all on board. So I suppose I just wanted to let you guys know sort of where I'm at with all that. So pretty much what I've decided is to continue on with the Cressida. Continue to put my boosted LS running gear in the Cressida. A lot of that was after getting V80 tuned, I must say. The numbers that thing put out on the dyno were really, really appealing. So you've got a stock bottom end LS1 in that cruiser with just a mild cam and good sized turbos. And it's making, even through that driveline, it's making 350 wheel horsepower at 2500 RPM, which is pretty wild. So when talking about another stock bottom end LS with an even smaller turbo and on E85 in a drift car with a TVD6 and like a smaller diff and no transfer case and stuff, I'm probably going to be looking at very similar numbers in those sort of rev range, and that's pretty exciting to me as the drivability of a car goes. Like just having that 350 wheel horsepower on tap, I reckon would be ridiculous, and then like aim at a sort of 500 wheel. So yeah, that sort of inspired me. Obviously the boosted LS was going to go in something, but I sort of decided to continue on with the Cressida for a few reasons. So big thing, I suppose, we need to, hold on. So one of the big issues I had with the Cressida, with finishing it, firstly was suspension. Suspension was an issue because, as I was saying, there's not much aftermarket support for the Cressida in this country at all. So there's not really any in Australia. As far as all your adjustable arms and stuff go, you pretty much, there's only sort of, to my knowledge, that come to mind, there's only 3 real companies that do it, and that's, you know, Russia, Canada, and in the US. So there's nothing really in Australia as far as aftermarket support goes. And the coilovers, pretty much your only option really is like BC. But the thing is, I had to think about it, and I've been thinking about it a lot, because of the way the Cressida is. For all you Cressida people already know that you have to weld the bottom of the coilover to the stock top of the knuckle, like the spindle. So what I figured is that because it's going to be a race car, it's not going on the street. It's a known fact that you can convert the front end of them to Silvia gear using a Silvia coilover. But I figure I could just use just about any coilover as long as the bottom of the coilover is the correct internal diameter to fit over the Cressida spindle. Then I could literally put whatever front coilovers I wanted in it and just cut off the mounts for the regular knuckles for whatever they're off, weld them onto the Cressida knuckle, and then just re-drill my strut towers to suit. So I have been thinking about just using like S-chassis coilovers or something like that. It's a known fact you can put S-chassis coilovers in the rear. You just have to manufacture a bush for the bottom mount bolt, because it's actually smaller than a Silvia one. So all you need is a bigger bush in the bottom mount hole, and you can put Silvia Cressidas in the rear of them. I figure I've measured the ones in the Skyline, and they are bigger internal diameter than the outside diameter of the top of the knuckle. So they would work. I just have to create, again, like a spacer sleeve to go between when I weld it up. So it is possible to get out of coilovers cheap. There is a way I can do it. As far as adjustable arms go, I am talking to a certain pretty local Australian company that I'm trying to pretty much convince to help me to develop some adjustable arms for the rears of them, so that we have a company in Australia that's doing them. So I'm trying to convince this company. I don't want to name anyone until something may come out of it. I don't want to put any names out there, but the way I see it is that there's no aftermarket support for the Cressida, for the X8 chassis really in Australia. There's not really anyone that's doing mass-produced parts for them. So it's pretty much an untapped market. The Cressida community is quite big, as I've found after being part of it. There are a lot of us out there that have Cressidas. They're quite a good, cheap base car to start with. They're a good chassis that's quite cheap. They're reasonably light. and they're easy to get. So I reckon it would be a really good market for an Australian company to start going into, because I reckon they would essentially corner that niche in Australia. So that's where I'm at with the Cressida, is the fact that I'm pretty sure I could still get out of it relatively cheap if I do it the right way. And I still would like to build into a really sort of pretty competitive level car eventually. But as a lot of you have inputted, and as I very much agree, is that the drive time is king. So I think the idea I've got at the moment is to try my best to get it done as soon and relatively cheap as possible, whilst still being happy with it, so that I can start driving it and then obviously develop the car from there. While it's driving, it's a lot nicer to be able to develop the car, because you get to actually, you get the fruits of your labor as it goes, pretty much. It's not something I want to be stuck building for years and never get to drive it because I was too busy building a pro spec fucking competitive level car like an idiot. A lot of people get stuck in that. I'm going to try not to. I'm hoping that I can just get a fairly cheap clutch setup for my LSTR 6060, get it together, get my manifolds and stuff made up, get out of the suspension and everything cheap, start driving the car, and then worry about doing other things like cage and all that sort of crap, worry about that later. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the Cressida. Yeah, pretty much want to finish it. It's my LS and everything. So pretty much want to finish that. Yeah, complete it the way I'd imagined it to start with. And it'll probably be a bit more racy than I first started, and I probably will spend a little bit extra money making it a bit better than when I started. Obviously, this build up until I bought the Skyline its intent was to get me back into a car as fast as possible. So I was doing it as cheap as possible, and I was doing it as fast as possible. But now that I have the Skyline to drive, I don't particularly need a car in a hurry. I don't need to do it really quick. So I'd rather just sort of spend a little bit of extra time, a little bit extra money to make it sort of what I want. But I will try and find that balance of not being stuck in the build forever, but making it just that little bit better, because I don't need it in a hurry now. So that's where I'm at with the Cressida. I'm sure a lot of you people are pretty happy about that, a lot of Cressida people that follow the channel. So I'm hoping that something comes of this, me conversing with this company in Australia, because I think obviously I reckon the whole Cressida community is going to benefit from it. I'm going to end up with what I want, and hopefully this company will sort of do pretty well out of it as well. So if there is any of you Cressida owners who are watching the channel, that are watching this video, that may be interested in sort of adjustable rear arms and that sort of thing, drop a comment if I can maybe drum up enough interest. That might work out. But if it doesn't, I will find another way to sort it out as well. So the Cressida is going to get finished, but after obviously making that video and me thinking about all of the parts I have left over for the S13, and that I still have all those parts for the S13, I figured it would be insane for me not to actually slap that together as well. For what I've got here for it, I've pretty much got the whole car sitting here ready to go. I just got to put the work into putting it together. So I figure it's a dumb idea not to build it. So my idea is that the 13 is going to go ahead as well. So as you know, I've got the shell over there. I've got a diff in it. I'm not sure what ratio it is yet. But yep, up here I've still got steering racks, rear hubs, half shafts, full rear arms, all stock rear arms. Still good enough. I've got these are nice vibe 25mm extended lower control arms. I've got modified S13 knuckles. I bought a set of front hubs. All I need, they're missing the circlip out of the back of them. The bloke I bought these off, Daniel Eldershaw, he went to 5-stud and just used the circlips out of the back of them. So originally I actually bought R33 lower control arms off him. He ended up getting defected. He was running these, so I swapped him the R33 arms back for these, plus I gave him some cash and I bought the knuckles off him. So literally the only thing I have left to buy to get the the Silvia, back to a complete rolling shell is coilovers and front brakes. Front brakes I'm buying this week, again off Daniel Eldershaw. When I was in his shed grabbing that stuff, I noticed he had a set of turbo S13 front brakes, so 280mm. So I figured I'll grab them. What I'm planning on doing is putting them on the R31. So I've got upgraded brakes on the 31, but I can still hopefully run small wheels. And then use the stock NA S13 brakes that are on the 31 to put on the S13 so that it is completely rolling. So that's what I mean. I've got literally everything here to pretty much put that car together. like I said, I've got the RB cross member down there, so it would be pretty stupid, I reckon, to let it all sit around as parts when I could put that car together for pretty much nothing. So at the end of the day, both cars are getting done. But as far as the Silvia goes, I was trying to sort of think of what to put in the Silvia to make it sort of cheap and fun. So I've been going around in loops and circles for a long time. For a long time I had this idea. It's funny because actually someone commented it on the video and told me to put a beams in the Silvia, and it's funny because I was actually thinking about that. So from what I know from racing dirt bikes and riding dirt bikes nearly all my life, the most fun you can have on a bike is pretty much on a 1252 two-stroke. And the reason that is just because they're small and light and they're nimble, and you can wring their necks, and they are just, for some reason, they are just so much fun to ride. They're not the fastest bike, but you just have the most fun riding them. And I figured I sort of wanted to try and translate that into drifting and see if it would be the same. So I was like, oh, I want to build like a really high RPM aspirated 4-cylinder just to make a really fun car to drive. But I figure the S13 is still a fairly heavy car to do that with. I think if I wanted to do that, I would be better off doing it in something like a Corolla or an MX-5, something that's a lighter chassis. But that's definitely high on my list of things I would like to build one day. I would really like to build a high revving, high comp, aspirated 4-cylinder drift car. I just reckon it would be a lot of fun. So I was still left with the idea of what do I put in the Silvia? Is it worth dumping my running gear out of the 31 into it? I don't know. But I sort of have decided to use what I've got to build another drift car. And so I'll show you what I've decided. So this is what I'm thinking. So the bonnet on this thing doesn't actually stay up, so I can't do that for dramatic effect. But I've been thinking using what I've got around to build just a dead, like ridiculously reliable drift car. So what I figured is this Falcon. Obviously you know that I was thinking about setting it up as a drag car. To be honest, I just don't have a need to register another 6-cylinder wagon. Like, I've already got one. I thought about it for a long time. I can't really afford it. It doesn't seem ethical or economical for me to go down that path and set it up as a drag car. I reckon I'd be better off using funds to buy a better tow car, a better setup daily tow car, and then I can drag the silver one, turn it into the drag car. I just don't really have I just don't really have a reason to have both of them registered. So that's pretty much why over the past few videos, or last video, you saw that I stole the diff and the door card and everything out of this, because I've pretty much decided that it's not going to be put back on the road, so I'm just going to use it for its original intended purpose, which was to get the silver one back into a working condition car with everything I need. So what I figure is here I've got a perfectly fine Barra, low Ks, pretty good motor, runs sweet. There is a bloke in the 31 community from Adelaide called XR, I think his Instagram handle's XR31ADL. I'll chuck it up here anyway, but he is pretty much just finished putting an aspirated Barra into an R31. And just with like diff gears, he's got a T5. Just with an intake and exhaust and a tune, he's got some pretty good results. And it sort of inspired me pretty well to pretty much put one in a Silvia. So I reckon just with a tune, well, he made just with a tune and exhaust and intake, he made 170 kilowatts, which is certainly no slouch, especially for an NA car that's stock. I reckon with cams and E85, if you wanted to, you could really get the things moving. And it's not only just that they make that much power, they're torquey as, they're absolute tractors, they're really torquey motors. So I was thinking if I could pull the Barra out of the white wagon, put a T5 on it, bi-clutch and whatnot, and RB Factory makes conversion mounts for Barra into R32s, which is the cross member that I have for the Silvia. So if I space that cross member down 25mm, bought RB Factory's Barra mounts, RB Factory's fly-by-wire pedal mount, RB Factory's just about everything. It'd almost be like an RB Factory catalogue, this car. But again, it's reasonably cheap stuff for what it is. I probably couldn't build it for what he sells it for. So it would be a very cheap throw together car. And my idea is to go, if I went Barra aspirated Barra, cammed it just on with a tune on pump fuel, I reckon it should make pretty close to about 240 horsepower, wheel horsepower. So if that was through a T5 and a welded 4.3, and if I went rear mount radiator, there would be literally nothing in the front of the car because it'd be aspirated with a rear mount radiator. Weight, it's really hard to actually find reliable information for weight of these engines online because there's so much misinformation out there. But from what I can tell, I reckon that an aspirated Barra would weigh about the same as an RB30 with all the turbo gear attached to it. So when you account for your turbo manifold, your turbo, your intercooler, all of that setup up front, I reckon an aspirated Barra actually would probably weigh about the same as a 30 turbo. So I don't think it would suffer from weight distribution issues as bad as most people think. Like I said, we would have nothing in the front to smash. It'd just be an aspirated, absolute tractor of a Barra that would be like pretty stock, just with a tune and some cams and some springs. And I reckon it would just be the most reliable drift car ever. It'd be so torquey, it'd be so forgiving, it'd be so easy to drive. It'd definitely be one of those cars that you could just about throw anyone in and they could drive it, I reckon. So that's sort of why I've decided to do that. Is I reckon it'd be a really good balanced car, a really good car that I could just chuck anyone in. Anyone could jump in and have a go. There'd be pretty much nothing to smash to ruin your weekend unless you really bent the car. It'd be pretty well balanced, and yeah, I just reckon it would just be dead reliable. So I still got those wheels there that are good enough. 4-stud, they came off this Silvia. I'd probably just chuck them on it. So pretty much all I'd need to buy from here on out after I get my brakes is some guards, some corner lights, and front and rear bumpers. Everything else I've got. I've even got 2 sets of rear calipers, so I'll buy RB factory dual caliper setup. Yeah, run it dual caliper, like pretty much just be an S13 track car. I've still got a dash up there, as I'm pretty sure I told all of this to you guys the last video that I did, that I do have all this stuff. So again, it's another one of those cars where all it really needs is for me to put in the work. I wouldn't need to spend a whole mess of money on it, and I would end up with a pretty reliable, cool drift car at the end of it. Albeit a Barra. I'm sure it's probably going to annoy a lot of people. I know there are a lot of fanboys out there that really dislike the idea of putting LSs into Japanese chassis just because of the purism of it. So there might be probably a lot of people that are going to be mad that I'm going to chuck an Australian 4-litre straight 6 Barra Falcon motor in one. But yeah, I figure that'd be a really good car. And I've got everything here just about to do it. So anyway guys, like I said in the last one of these, it's not really a pressing issue. It's, at the moment, I'm just stoked to be driving this beast, and that's what I'm going to focus on for the next probably couple of months. So it's not a right now big deal, not a big issue at all. Just pretty much what I've been talking about where I'm going to go after this, because it is something I do have to think about. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about building both cars, so I'm sure a lot of you are probably pretty happy about that. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing with the S13, is just chuck it together, like pretty drift spec, but just have a drift beater and a dead reliable car that I could just, you know, chuck anyone in and they could have a go, and it would be very forgiving, light, torquey, just be a good balanced car. So that's what I figure. But yeah, let me know what you think. Just wanted to let you guys know that I have thought about everything you sort of say to me, and I do take it all on board, and this is sort of what I've come up with. So that's, yeah, where we're at. So thanks for watching, guys. I know these videos of me pretty much monologuing my ideas can get probably pretty boring for a lot of you. So I am stoked that a lot of you actually very, very much enjoy all this stuff and like seeing what I can do. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. If anyone's got real cheap / or free S13 front guards or front and rear bumpers or corner lights, I'd be stoked to grab some. So I've got some headlights there. They're a bit damaged, a few missing tabs and stuff, but again, it's a drift car, so I don't really care if it's not the straightest, cleanest thing ever. I was thinking is I want to get the mounts off RB factory, see where the Barra sits on the crossmember, so I can see if I've got room to move my crossmember forward, because I do want to move the crossmember forward and really try and get the S13 like heaps of lock in it. I reckon that would be cool as. So I was thinking when I build it all, painting all of the engine cross member, the rear cradle, engine bay, painted all like metallic pink. Like try and get that metal cast spray cans that are like really metallic-y pink. And then I was going to paint the exterior of the car like a dark metallic green, I suppose to sort of match the Lep Labs theme. And I was just going to call the car Pink Bits. So that's sort of my idea, is just aspirated barra, rim out rad, pink bits, just pretty much a pretty dirty, not dirty, but just an S13 beta car that can just get beat on. So let me know what you think, guys. Yeah, I'm just stoked at the moment that the 31's done, so I just wanted to make this video while I had time and I'm out here because I go back to work soon and I'm not going to have that much time to make videos, so I just wanted to let you know that that's what I'm thinking, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.